If the recent pandemic taught us anything, and by us I mean me, it's that two things are required for the country to be restored and to finally reach its full potential. The first of the two is universal health care. That's a no-brainer. I'm hoping our recent experience will finally give us the collective will to sweep away the troglodytes who are standing in its way and provide this basic need for everyone, no matter their income or where they live. Perhaps I'll expand on that at another time, but right now I want to talk about the other thing. The other thing is a universal basic income, UBI. Jumping back for a second, one of the proposals for universal health care is Medicare for all. It's certainly a workable plan that gets the job done, and according to a recent study at Yale University, saves a ton of money at the same time, so naturally conservatives hate it. In that same vein, think of a UBI as Social Security for all. At its simplest, Social Security is a forced savings plan supplemented by employer contributions, also forced, that pays a defined benefit when you reach a certain age. The fly in the ointment is it takes a percentage of the money you work for and puts it out of your reach for many, many years. In fact, if you die young, you may never see any benefit from it at all. Some would say it would be better to just let you keep the money and invest it yourself, but would you? Maybe not. Nor would you receive the employer contribution, and if you've checked the stock market lately, you can see the pitfall of standard investment. There's always the chance you'll lose everything. I lost 40% of my 401k in the Great Recession, for example. The UBI is different in that the government just gives you money, no contribution or time delay of any kind. The figure I hear bandied about the most is $2,000 per month or $24,000 per year. But that's socialism, you say. Maybe, but so is public education and a lot of other really, really good things we already do. It's perfectly acceptable to have some social programs within a capitalistic system. In fact, those are the things that make capitalism bearable. This is not a new idea. The famous socialist Richard Nixon proposed a UBI of $1,600 per month way back in 1969. Unfortunately, elements within his administration convinced him to add work requirements, and the Democrats balked. They were right to do so because the idea is not that a person will live on that amount, but that it will give them a supplement to what they're already earning in, say, a minimum wage job. Their increased buying power will give a boost to the economy, which will increase revenue and more than pay for the benefit. It makes sense economically. We should also make sure corporations and wealthy individuals pay their fair share of taxes, which would make paying this benefit even easier. Giving more money to the rich, as we've been doing, makes no sense because, as we have seen, they just keep it, producing no benefit to anyone but themselves. A UBI also makes sense psychologically. If you've taken even a survey course in psychology at the university level, you've probably encountered the Maslow pyramid or triangle. It's a theory of human motivation put forward by psychologist Abraham Maslow way back in 1943. The theory states that we have 5 sets of needs that come in a particular order, and as each set of needs is met, the desire for the next level shows up. First, there are the needs to keep the body going: food, water, shelter, and, maybe surprisingly, sex. Next is the need for safety, the idea that the needs from the first group will be filled sufficiently on an ongoing basis. Social needs are next: love, friendship, and company. Once we've got those things, we desire social recognition, status, and respect. Finally, at the tip of the pyramid, we have the need for self-actualization. As Maslow wrote, a musician must make music, an artist must paint, a poet must write if he is to be ultimately happy. What a man can be, he must be. That final peak is a far country for those who must struggle just to survive. Indeed, there's evidence that cognitive ability can be seriously compromised by privation, limiting what the very poor can achieve. Full disclosure, lots of folks have taken issue with aspects of Maslow's work over the years. Some reduce the number of levels needed, others point to individuals who seem to shoot directly to the top without passing through the other stages. Even I quibble when it comes to artists, many of whom live in poverty and obscurity, yet continue to labor at their particular form of expression, eschewing family, status, even bodily needs in pursuit of their art. The most famous illustration is probably the musician who loads $5,000 worth of equipment into a rust bucket van and drives 200 miles for a $25 gig. Based completely on my parents' efforts, I started life at stage 3. Possibly you did too. And I only had to worry about stages 4 and 5. Others are not so lucky. They may never get past striving to escape stage 2. A UBI would give them a leg up and a chance to enjoy the unalienable rights referred to in the Declaration of Independence. As you'll remember, those rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's hard to pursue happiness when you're working 80 hours a week just to eat. Statistics strongly indicate if you're currently born poor, you'll probably stay that way unless, like I was, you're very, very lucky. And by the way, the surest way to achieve wealth is simply to inherit it. Not everyone will agree, I know. It hasn't been long since Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa defended another giveaway to the rich by saying it recognizes the people who are investing as opposed to those who are just spending every darn penny they have, whether it's on booze or women or movies. Ignoring that Chuck doesn't seem to recognize that the women in question are working, this argument is so typical it makes me tired. The well-off have been using it from time immemorial to malign the poor. If you give them money, they'll just waste it. Oh, they're wasting it all right on food and shelter primarily, and only at the very basic level. The first time it occurred to me that this was not true was way back in the early 1960s when Barry Goldwater was running for president. He gave a speech in which he declared it's the individual's fault if he's poor while standing in front of the large department store he had inherited. I wondered, how would he know? That's probably the day I became a liberal. Funny, isn't it, how we never apply that same standard to the wealthy with their inherited mansions, fleets of automobiles, yachts, and airplanes? Why is it that the man who buys a six-pack on payday is censured while the guy who flies one of his dad's private jets to France to pick up a case or two of this year's Beaujolais Nouveau is given a pass? The late Senator Paul Wellstone, one of my personal heroes, was correct when he said, when we all do better, we all do better. A UBI would be a step toward making that dream come true.